This is Josephine Electric Ghost. This is episode 164. Josephine's More Than It. And we continue to do our hardware workflow and rediscovering our Make Noise Maths module, our Arturia Mini Brute 2S, Moog Mother 32, and DFAM. So the two songs here, Well Faded Wretch and Electric, are both constructed using as the percussion. The primary percussion source is the Moog Drummer from Another Mother. And we also have the DFAM is in a Arturia 6U Eurorack, and we have a Make Noise Maths module, which is a very interesting module that lets you do all kinds of modulation where you can do logarithmic, and also exponential. So you can do logarithmic and exponential modulation on two sources and two different triggers coming in and have rising and fall modulation. And you can do a sum and an inverse and kind of portamento and all kinds of time shifting, similar kind of to the morphogene in some ways. So what we used was also the Mother 32 and Arturia Mini Brute 2S, which are all part of this Arturia 6U Eurorack solution. So the 2S actually sits at the bottom of the Eurorack, and then it's a two-row Eurorack on the 6U. And we have a Mother 32 and a DFAM, then a morphogene, which we didn't use in this particular situation, but we used the math module. And so we have rhythmic modulation coming from the DFAM and the Arturia Mini Brute 2S, which has a really powerful sequencer, which we've talked about before, that's more powerful than the Arturia Mini Brute 2. The 2S has a very innovative sequencer that allows you to use the modulation matrix to assign all kinds of things to the gate and to other sources on the actual Arturia Mini Brute 2S. So we have a kind of polyrhythmic thing going on these songs between using the Arturia Mini Brute 2S and the mass module and the DFAM. So the Well Faded Wretch also introduces our System 1M, which we are actually controlling through MIDI with an Arturia BeatStep Pro. So we're using Synth 1 to actually play the actual behavioral modeling synth, analog behavioral modeling synth that is the System 1M. But it's using in its base configuration. So it's kind of like, four voices of what the System 8 can do. So System 1 is kind of the basis of the System 8. System 8 takes it further down the road and is not just a mono synth. Though the System 1M can do four voice polyphony, so it's not a pure mono synth. It's a little more complicated. And it's a two oscillator little beast, and it has a very interesting sound. It can be used for a lot of effects. So the lead line on Well Faded Wretch is coming from a System 1M. So that's doing the lead synthesizer sound, and you could think that maybe that came from a Moog or a full analog synth, but it's actually coming from a Roland analog behavioral modeling synth, which makes this like we've been kind of going back and forth whether or not we should get as our next poly synth the System 8. We're kind of waiting to see if Roland's going to make a new synth in the vein of the System 8 before we go and get a System 8. And then also what we're looking at also is the Kai Force as like our central control system for all of our instruments. We use all these analog and digital synths, and having the Kai Force would be a cool way of doing a show and organizing all of our sound sources. Though we're not sure if that's a full solution. We've got to call into Sweetwater to talk to a tech to see if it would actually do what we want it to do. Because we wanted to be able to take in, what we do today is we take a lot of our sequencing and everything and put it onto WAV files onto our Zoom. So the question is, could we bring those WAV files from the Zoom and do them as clips into the actual Akai Force, and then also have our modular synthesizer. If we could take our Arturia 6U and have the gate CV gate from the Moogs and Arturia and from the make noise modules, and actually control them with the Akai, or control them with MIDI, however we want to do it. We're trying to figure out ways to do it and see if it could be our central running system. It seems like we could sample some of the stuff we're doing with our mono synths and our analog and digital synths, and see if we could actually take full songs and projects and bring a lot of our music to it. If we had to do a concert, we could have a lot of clips from our material already preloaded and set into a set list, and then manipulate like a DJ, maybe, live, have like a grandmother, or use a Roland Axe Edge, or even our Juno, still use our Juno to really play the piano parts that we play. But we're looking into all different things. But nonetheless, we're using right now the Zoom R24 along with all of our sequencers, and the BeatStep Pro is kind of like running a lot of things because of its 3 lines of sequencing. So Well Faded Wretch is Josephine kind of talking about a female lover that she kind of like is dismissing and saying that she's yesterday's news, and she's pretty much been used by Josephine, and she's throwing her away. So Josephine's being very nonchalant and very not very sensitive to her former lover's needs, and just kind of trashing her and just leaving her in a relationship bin of history. And this song kind of goes into that. It's very industrial. It's kind of Berlin synth wave inspired. It's using a very industrial beat from the DFAM, along with the lead line coming from the System 1M, and then the Moog DFAM is really running this whole thing. But when we get into the song Electric, Electric is using the Make Noise math module to a stronger degree. And we're using the VT4 vocoder to really bring Josephine's voice with it, using the harmonization, the harmony feature, and the pitch correcting, which is a lot more significant in the VT4 than the VT3 vocal transformer. And, Josephine in this song is basically saying she is all that. She is an alpha kind of dominatrix, lady of the night. She's saying she is the electric. She is that trick that's going to just like totally devour anyone, whether you're a woman or a man. She's just going to be your total vamp. She's just the it girl in terms of GRRL. She's the it GRR girl, GRRL girl. And this song has gotten a pretty good reception on Instagram. The video we did for it, we did a video on Instagram. In the video section, they can be less than 10 minutes. We've got pretty good amount of hits on it. We've got a lot of people that seem to like it. We've got a YouTube video that hasn't had the reception that the Instagram video does. We seem to get more hits on Instagram. It's hard to get the influence on YouTube sometimes. But this song is, it's the DFAM in action. We really love the DFAM. We found a lot of cool ways to make multiple sounds come out of DFAM at once with the help of the math module, which allows you to do a lot of crazy summing and inverse modulation. And so we've been really diving deeper into what the math module can do. On top of that, the Morphogene we've been using a lot on a lot of the tracks we've been running lately, but not these ones. But the math module is just phenomenal. We would love to get a full Make Noise rig. We're always interested in getting a lot of their stuff. The Tempe module, and they've got some new modules now. It's like they got this kind of quadraphonic filter, that they just came up with is just amazing. And they have a lot of really interesting stuff that is just, all these things that you want to get today. We're kind of torn, like we said. We really would like to get a grandmother. We ordered a Siren because we like the idea of the Moog Siren is that it's the first time we've seen analog Moog besides like a Voyager that have presets. The sub 37s have presets, but most of those are like $1,400 to $3,000 instruments. We have never seen presets on things smaller than that, and a Siren is like the first thing at a $600 level that we've seen to have presets. However, you got to use a PC to access them, unless you can access them with a MIDI controller, which we're not sure. We're not sure if there's a protocol to be able to get to the presets on a MIDI controller, or do you have to have the PC to do it? So we're looking into that. But we do have one on pre-order. We are probably going to go with the Force, even though we really would like to get a System 8. We're kind of holding off on that because we probably get a grandmother before System 8, just because the grandmother would be kind of heart of our modular synthesis. It would control our DFAM in the Siren, and the Mother 32 would have that being controlled. Right now, we're using the Arturia Mini Brute 2S to control it, which we somewhat control it that way. But a lot of times we override the control and use the Juno to actually trigger it. We could have the really good Fatar keyboard on the grandmother. So we're still kind of going back and forth whether or not we should get rid of our Siren order and really get the grandmother instead. But the Siren has some cool things if you're using like a controller like the Force controller, or using any kind of MIDI controller. The fact that this thing's got presets and it's got a wider range than the Taurus ever had, and there's only going to be like 2,500 of them. So we're kind of leaning toward the exclusivity of this thing. It's kind of like when they put out the Mini Moog Model D, there's only so many of them that they made. So sometimes you go with what you think is going to be the best deal. But we're big Roland fans. We'd love to get a System 500. System 8, we think, is probably one of the best deals for the money. If you're going to have a polysynth that has analog, like Juno 106, it has the Jupiter 8. It's got ProMars. It's got, so many different classic synths. JPX 8. It's got so many things that you can do. And it's the basic sound engine, and the sound design is one of the best sound designs next to like a Model D or a Voyager. It has a very clear workflow, knob per function, very interesting sequencer, really cool filters, and they keep on adding all kinds of features. So for the bang for the buck, the System 8 is still one of the best polysynths out there in terms of its analog modeling behavior. And a lot of people, I see a lot of producers have it. Despite everybody loving Profits, which are great machines, but they're very expensive, and their workflow is a little more complicated than the Roland workflow, which is a lot easier to understand. It might not have all the LFO positions that the Profits have, but a lot of people could be able to do a lot of things with the structure of the System 8. And it seems very powerful in that you can bring a Jupiter 8 back to life, a Juno 106 back to life, and those two instruments, if you're a synthesist, you're going to really be hard-pressed to not want to play those patches or those pads that come from those synths, and then be able to modify them in a way that you could never do before. Like on a System 8, you can take a 106 and merge it with a Jupiter 8, which you could never do. Even if you had the original instruments, you can't do that. So that in itself gives you a capability that is hard to pass up. So the System 8 we're still kind of going back and forth on our synthesis, because we do have a hardware workflow with our Zoom. R24 has been working pretty good, but we're potentially going to be working with a record company contract to do one record this year and a bunch of singles, and having an Akai Force would give us a step into the modern world of what the DJs use, and if we could take the capabilities that the DJ audience uses in the Ableton DAWs of the world and then take in the fact that we've had this analog workflow and a lot of the stuff we have. So we take the best of what we do with our Moogs and our Rolands and our Make Noise products and our Arturia products, currently what we do, and then make it so it's easier to present in a show, easier to actually put together when we're working with other people and collaborating, so we can have a grid that is similar to what they see when they do their stems and stuff. So it is something we're looking into. We're going to do more research with a Sweetwater representative and figure out what you can do with this thing and what you can't. I'm very interested in song production, not just DJ production, and whether or not the solution. I think if I took an Akai Force and I did a project, I could bring the stems into my Zoom. I probably could record all those stems into my Zoom and master them and make my songs. So it could be the source of my stems that I bring into my Zoom. So I could create all these what their stems are called, I guess, are clips. I could have all these clips in a project, run them around, play them, take the outputs of the Akai, bring them into the Zoom, and then record them up to 24 tracks on the Zoom, and that would be my full song. And so I think I could take advantage of my hardware workflow by having an Akai to have the thing. And if I ever wanted to do those songs live in performance, I could just run them from the Akai. When I want to actually put them to record and actually master them, I could use the Zoom. I think that'd be a cool way of using those machines and bringing some of that sampling capability. Because right now, the only sampler we have is a Make Noise Morphogene, which is pretty much manual, no visual, cues. The Akai Force would give us the ability to take some of the stuff we do on the Morphogene to make it, look at it visually, and then move it around and adjust it, and then use the sampler that's in the Akai Force could be used to do a lot of cool things. And the cool thing is the alternative keyboard or pad method of the Force, which all the touch sensitive, velocity sensitive pads, they're spaced so you can actually play them. Gives you a performance option that we would take advantage as the Ghost, because we like to perform live and do it in such a way that we could be out there in a typical DJ environment and actually be playing live material with this thing that other DJs are not doing with the Pioneer. So I think this would be a cool option for us to go forward, and we're really looking at it with our income tax return as the investment for this year. For in terms of production and performance, we think that Akai Force really fits into what expansive sound is about. We always want to get another polysynth or a monosynth, but we're probably still going to be able to get our grandmother this year, and then we'll focus on next year getting a System 8 or whatever Roland comes out with if they replace the System 8. And then also looking at the Prophet X. But, we're big Roland fans, and we think an FA08 is still a really good option for what we like to do, because all of the Integra type of modules, sounds that are in that machine. We're big Roland fans, and we think the FA08 is a really good option. We're never big Kronos fans. We think we probably could do a lot with the FA08, given the way we record. That might be the synth that we look at. Though the System 8 is more of a sound design synth, but we have so many sound design options. We're still looking at whether or not we invest in another sound design option or go with like a System 500. So we got a lot of different things we can talk about. But these two songs, as we talked about, the Well-Faded Wretch and Electric, are taking advantage of our current hardware workflow. And Electric, is really, I think, the best song I've written in a long time. Kind of like Windover Girls back from Synesthesia. It's got a really cool, infectious beat, though it's very monotonous because that's what the DFAM does. But it's monotonous, but there's a little bit of a trick in that it's not the same sounds that are going on. It's the same beat, but the Moog DFAM is doing different variations, and because I'm running it through the Make Noise mass module, I can get a couple variations that are different than what you can just do with the actual DFAM itself. So when you hear the variations in the beat, well, not the beat, but more of the sound that's making up the beat. It's a lot of it is because I'm going through two different channels on the actual math module that allow that to happen. And then there's an actual beginning beat on the whole thing is coming from the Arturia Mini Brew 2S. So, that's all we have to talk about today. Check out The Flower That Blooms at Midnight in the Tomb. Check out, that's an album. It's on streaming on all the services. It'll be on Amazon.com as a CD in a couple of weeks. We also have our live performance that we did on Facebook Live that's out there now on all the streaming services. So we have this project, which is out there. We're calling Paddling on the River of Darkness, Looking for the Light. It's on Spotify, it's on Tidal, it's on Apple. And also we have Wretched Symphony number 8. So this year we got 3 albums. Our Dark Ghost Volume 1 didn't make it through the funding level. We're going to do Dark Ghost Volume 1 probably on Landar, because then we can make it the big album that it originally was supposed to be. So we're thinking of going back and doing the original configuration back when we were working with Turner Bellow, and it was going to be called The Spider Puppets. Now it's just going to be Dark Ghost Volume 1, but it's going to have the original track list that's out on SoundCloud, which is like 2.5 hours long. So we're going to be working on that this week, and we're going to put it out through our relationship with Landar, and it will be on all the streaming services. Probably not on YouTube because it might be a little too long for them, but yeah, we're excited about all the projects we're working on, and we do have potentially working on a record company distribution deal where we're doing one record and multiple singles. Once we do that, you'll see a name change. It won't be an expansive sound. It'll be a different record label doing these particular songs going forward this year. And we're working on a lot of projects. Some of these songs that we're talking about today are some of the songs that might go with that label. And so we're working on a brand new record for that label. We've got probably 2 albums worth of material that we're looking at to figure out what songs are going to be for this new label. Talk to you soon.
Be honest, you won't be with Josephine. You're gonna have to be honest. You have to get down on your knees. You're gonna have to be honest. You can't be a tease. You're gonna have to know how to complete that scene. Gonna have to get in the cage with the hardest. With me, you're gonna have to know how to be a fiend. You're gonna have to know how to be laughing. You're gonna have to know how to contemplate. You wanna be with a dream like me? You're gonna have to know you can't be a thief, you can't be a cheat, and you can't be cheap. You have to give of yourself, or you can't be discreet. You're gonna have to be honest. You wanna be with Josephine. You're really gonna have to know what you need. You're gonna have to know what you need. You wanna catch it if you wanna bleed. You're gonna have to know what you want from me. If you wanna be with Josephine. Looks like you don't know what you need. Looks like you're not ready to play. But when you know to talk, it comes so cheap. You're Josephine. Don't even come in the cage unless you're ready to play. You know, you're gold, you could feel the hold. If you lose control, well maybe that's part of your soul. The dark goes dark, there it goes. You should know, it's got that kind of control. You better be honest if you wanna be with a fiend. No, you better be honest if you really know what you need. You better be honest if you wanna be with her just like me. You better be honest or you'll be subtracted from the scene. You better be honest with yourself. I don't think you really know what you need. Don't you dare go into the cage if you're not ready to bleed. And nothing is easy, nothing's free. Don't use that gold card with a woman like me. Prepare to bleed. You better be honest with Josephine. I don't even think you know what you need. You better be honest with Josephine. I don't even think you know if you're ready to be a dream like me. Definitely not ready Between my hands and the trunk.